A mixture.
Dimes.
Now this one was crazy, right? I don't know how he saw that one.
Yeah, that's insane.
To Huff.
Yeah, now I don't know how
I
he
mean,
saw
that
that
is
one.
the most church league ass reverse right there ever from Huff.
Put respect on J Huff, bro. I said who he played for. Y'all got it wrong for like 5 guesses.
Oh, you did send us that one.
Is he on the
Okay.
Exhibit 10 contract, or is that like?
That's spooky.
Why is
Ever felt like you were too small to make it big? Well, let me introduce you to Yuki Kawamura, the 5'8" sensation who's proving that height is just a number in the NBA. This guy's making plays that'll have you questioning everything you thought you knew about basketball. But here's the thing, it's not just about his height. Kawamura's got skills that are off the charts. We're talking court vision that make Magic Johnson do a double take. Want to know how he's managing to not just survive, but thrive among the Giants?
You got to be Ty Lawson good.
And Ty Lawson was.
Earl Boykin's good.
Earl Boykin's good.
Muggsy
Bogues
Bogues good.
was definitely nice. I wouldn't mind that being the third backup point guard.
How cold do you have to be for you? Like you play in the league. How cold do you have to be 5? Be generous. He's not 5'9". 5'7".
Keep watching, because we're about to break it all down. You know those underdog stories where the little guy comes out of nowhere? Well, this one's literally about a little guy. Let's talk about Yuki Kawamura, the 5'8" sensation who's been turning heads in Japan. This dude was absolutely crushing it in the B League, Japan's top professional basketball circuit. We're talking MVP level performance, dropping dimes, and making defenders look silly. But here's the thing, dominating in Japan is one thing. The NBA, that's a whole different ballgame. Imagine being 5'8" and stepping onto an NBA court. Most guys would be shaking in their boots, feeling like they just walked into a forest of redwoods.
Memphis ball. Here's Kawamura. Diagonal pass. Huff for 3. He drills. He ties it up with a power.
Eyes up the floor. Watch this. Whoop. No look. All the big fellas do is just go up. Yeah.
Not Yuki. This guy shows up to Grizzlies camp with the confidence of a 7-footer. Now, let's break down how Kawamura even got his foot in the door. He lands this thing called an Exhibit 10 contract with the Memphis Grizzlies. For those of you who don't speak NBA legalese, it's basically the team saying, hey, you can try out, but no promises. It's like getting a backstage pass to the biggest show in basketball, but you still gotta prove you belong. So picture this. Yuki walks into Grizzlies practice and everyone's thinking this dude's gonna get crushed. I mean, can you blame them? He's giving up nearly a foot to some of these guys. But Yuki, he's got other plans. From day one, he starts making plays that have his teammates doing double takes. We're talking no-look passes that thread the needle, crossovers that leave defenders stumbling, and court vision that'd make a seasoned point guard jealous. You know what's wild? Yuki's not just holding his own in practice. He's actually making guys look bad. There's this one play where he fakes out not 1, not 2, but 3 defenders at once. The whole gym goes silent for a second, then erupt. It's like they can't believe what they just saw. Now you're probably thinking, is this for real? Is Yuki Kawamura really dominating NBA Giants at just 5'8"? I get it, it sounds crazy, but that's exactly what's happening. This guy's out here proving that basketball IQ and skill can level the playing field, even when you're looking up at everyone else on the court. You might think Kawamura's success is all about speed or fancy dribbling. Nope, there's something way more valuable going on here, and it's got nothing to do with his physical skills. What's the secret weapon that's got NBA veterans scratching their heads? Let's talk about Yuki's basketball brain. This guy's mind is working overtime, processing the game at warp speed. He's not just reacting to plays, he's creating them before they even happen. Imagine being so short you can't see over the defense, but still knowing exactly where your teammates are. That's Yuki for you. In a preseason game against the Chicago Bulls, Kawamura dropped 8 dimes, including this insane no-look pass to Zach Edey for a monster slam. The crowd went wild, but Yuki, he was already setting up the next play. It's like he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. You know what's even crazier? Kawamura is not just making flashy plays, he's controlling the entire tempo of the game. In that same Bulls game, he had the Grizzlies offense humming like a well-oiled machine. Defenders were scrambling, trying to figure out where the ball was going next, but Yuki always knew. He was 3 steps ahead, manipulating the defense like a puppet master. Now you might be thinking, sure, he can pass, but can he score? Well, let me tell you about the Knicks game. Kawamura dropped 10 points and dished out 7 assists. That's a solid stat line for any point guard, let alone a 5'8" rookie. But it's not just about the numbers, it's how he got them. Yuki was making decisions on the fly, reading the defense, and exploiting weaknesses that most players wouldn't even notice. His teammates are starting to take notice too. Marcus Smart, the defensive player of the year, had this to say, Yuki brings a uniqueness to the game that you can't teach. He uses everything in his skill set to his advantage. People underestimate him. That's high praise coming from a guy who's seen it all on the court. But here's the thing that really sets Kawamura apart, his assist to turnover ratio. In the preseason, this guy was dishing out dimes like candy on Halloween, but turnovers, rare as a solar eclipse. That's the mark of a true floor general. He's not just making plays, he's making the right plays. Now, you'd think a guy barely pushing 5'8" would steer clear of the paint, right? Wrong. Kawamura's driving at centers like he's their size, but here's the kicker. He's actually scoring. How's he pulling off this David versus Goliath act? Let's break it down. Picture this. Yuki Kawamura, all 5'8" of him, driving straight at Zach Edey. You know, the 7'4" giant. Everyone's thinking, no way, he's gonna get swatted into next week. But Yuki's got tricks up his sleeve that'd make a magician jealous. First off, he's using his low center of gravity like a superpower. When Kawamura gets low, it's like he's got suction cups on his feet. Bigger guys try to bump him off course, but he just keeps coming. And that first step, it's so quick, by the time the defender reacts, Yuki's already halfway to the hoop. But here's where it gets wild. Kawamura's not just driving, he's finishing. There's this one play against the Knicks that had everyone's jaw on the floor. Yuki somehow gets into the paint and he's surrounded by trees. I'm talking 6'10", 7-foot defenders all around him. Most guys would pass out of that, right? Not Yuki. He does this crazy reverse layup, spinning the ball off the glass at an impossible angle. Swish. The bench goes absolutely bonkers. You know what's even crazier? This isn't just a one-time thing. In that Knicks game, Kawamura dropped 10 points. That's double digits against one of the best defensive teams in the league. And he's not just scoring, he's dishing out assists too. 7 of them, to be exact. It's like he's got eyes in the back of his head, finding teammates when the defense collapses on him. Now, you might be thinking, sure, but what do the big guys say about this? Well, let me tell you. After a preseason game, Zach Edey himself, you know, the guy who's literally a 1.5 feet taller than Kawamura, says Yuki plays bigger than he is. That's not just a compliment. That's a 7.4 center admitting that height isn't everything. But here's the million-dollar question. Can Yuki actually outplay 7-footers in the paint consistently? I mean, this is just preseason we're talking about. When the real games start and the defense gets serious, what happens then? Does Kawamura have enough tricks in his bag to keep surprising these giants? While everyone was busy wondering if Kawamura could hang with the big boys, he was quietly making moves behind the scenes. In just a few weeks, he went from maybe he'll make the team to we need this guy. How did this 5'8" guard from Japan become the NBA's hottest rookie prospect practically overnight? Let's talk about that Exhibit 10 contract Kawamura signed back in September. You know, the one that basically said, hey, come try out, but no promises. Yeah, that didn't last long. Yuki's out here turning heads so fast, the Grizzlies had to lock him down before someone else snatched him up. Imagine this. Kawamura steps onto the court for his first preseason game. Everyone's expecting him to get lost in the shuffle. But what happens? He drops 8 assists against the Bulls. 8. That's not just good, that's elite level playmaking. And he didn't stop there. Against the Knicks, he puts up 10 points and 7 assists. That's when the Grizzlies front office started sweating. You know what's crazy? The Grizzlies didn't even wait for preseason to end. They looked at Kawamura and thought, we can't let this guy slip away. So what did they do? They upgraded him to a 2-way contract faster than you can say underdog story. That's like going from the maybe list to the VIP section overnight. Now, Yuki's in this sweet spot where he gets to split time between the NBA and the G League. But don't think for a second that means less attention. Nah, everyone's eyes are glued to his G League games too. They're all wondering, is this guy for real? And get this, Kawamura is not just impressing the coaches. His teammates are all in. Ja Morant, the star point guard, is out here posting about Yuki on social media. That's like getting a stamp of approval from the king of the court himself. But here's the million-dollar question. How did this undersized player from Japan end up in the NBA so fast? It's not just about his skills, though those are off the charts. It's about opportunity meeting preparation. The Grizzlies needed point guard depth after Derrick Rose retired, and Kawamura was ready to step up. Kawamura stepped up, but his impact goes way beyond filling a roster spot. Did you know he's causing a basketball revolution in Japan? We're talking media frenzy, skyrocketing merch sales, and a whole nation of kids suddenly dreaming NBA dream. But here's the real kicker. Is Yuki about to change how we think about height in pro basketball? Let's talk about the Yuki effect in Japan. This guy's not just playing ball, he's igniting a whole movement. Japanese media are swarming Grizzlies practices like bees to honey. They're not just covering the games, they're reporting on every dribble, every pass, every time Yuki ties his shoelace. It's like he's a rock star and the NBA court is his stage. You know what's wild? Kawamura's only the 4th Japanese-born player to make it to the NBA. That's huge. We're talking about a country with over 125 million people, and only 4 have cracked the NBA code. Yuki's not just playing for himself, he's carrying the hopes of an entire nation on his 5'8" frame. And the kids in Japan, they're going absolutely crazy. Imagine being a young basketball player in Tokyo, looking up at the TV and seeing someone who looks like you weaving through 7-footers like they're traffic cones. It's not just inspiring, it's game-changing. These kids are suddenly thinking, if Yuki can do it, why can't I? But it's not just about inspiration. Kawamura is making waves on social media too. His highlight reels are spreading faster than gossip in a high school cafeteria. Get this, Yuki's got over 600,000 Instagram followers. That's more than some NBA veterans who've been in the league for years. He's not just a player, he's a full-on influencer. And you know who's loving all this attention? The Memphis Grizzlies. They're suddenly big in Japan. We're talking merch flying off the shelves, viewership numbers through the roof. The Grizzlies went from that team in Tennessee to Yuki's team overnight in Japan. It's like they struck marketing gold without even trying. But here's the million-dollar question. Is Kawamura changing how we think about height in basketball? I mean, we've seen short players succeed before, but Yuki's doing it with such style, such flair, that he's making everyone question their assumptions. He's not just surviving, he's thriving. And that's got people wondering, maybe we've been too hung up on height all along. Everyone's talking about Yuki's height, but here's what they're missing. The Grizzlies just handed him the keys to their offense. With injuries piling up and suspensions hitting hard, Kawamura might be thrust into the spotlight sooner than anyone expected. Can he handle the heat? Yuki's got this two-way contract now, and it's a big deal. It means he can play up to 50 NBA games this season. That's not just a few minutes here and there. We're talking about serious playing time. And with the Grizzlies dealing with a bunch of injuries and suspensions, Yuki might be getting his shot way earlier than anyone thought. You know what's wild? The coaches are already drawing up plays specifically for Kawamura. They're not just throwing him out there and hoping for the best. They've seen something special in practice, and they're ready to unleash it on the league. Imagine being a rookie, barely in the door, and the coaches are already crafting the offense around you. That's next level trust. But let's be real for a second. The NBA regular season is a whole different animal compared to preseason. Defenses are going to adjust. They're going to start putting together scouting reports on Yuki. All those tricks that worked in the first few games, teams are going to start figuring them out. So here's the big question. Can Yuki keep evolving his game? He's got to stay one step ahead of the competition. It's not just about what he can do now. It's about how he can adapt when teams start to figure him out. Can he add new moves to his arsenal? Can he read defenses even faster? That's what's going to make or break his NBA career. The good news is Yuki's got a whole team behind him. His teammates are hyped about what he brings to the court. The fans are going crazy every time he touches the ball. But now it's time for the rubber to meet the road. Can Kawamura turn this Cinderella story into a long-term NBA career? Yuki's not just playing for himself anymore. He's carrying the hopes of a whole nation on his shoulders. Every kid in Japan who's ever been told they're too short for basketball is watching him. And you know what? He's ready to show the world that in the NBA, heart can be just as important as height.